and we can tell you our plans and where we're at, and a good chance to see where the comp's at. So obviously the plan was for the comp to start this coming, not this week, coming the next week on the 7th, and was to play Rats at home. Obviously that's no good now with the extension of the lockdown. So we understand that Leichhardt Oval's booked until the end of October, so the 30th of October. At an absolute best case scenario, it would be to potentially play the last 3 games of the season, which for us would be Woods, Penny, and Wicks. Penrith at home, the other 2 away. And then failing that would be a longer final series, or an 8-team final series, I believe is the preferred one, because I think there's a few concerns about Parramatta and Penrith coming back. But there'd be an opportunity to have a larger final series, and then move into a grand final. But obviously we don't know. So what we've been doing, I thought I'd let the boys talk to you about what they've been up to. Probably Connor's the best to talk to this. Connor, if you want to give everyone an update on what you've been up to, mate, in terms of staying fit, that'd be terrific.
Yeah, so obviously we had our groups of 10 to begin with, which we could do a little bit of footy stuff, but most of it was just sort of getting the running done. J-Train's been really helpful in terms of sending out sessions for us to do, so we've got plenty of work to still be doing, which the boys have done. But then obviously the exercising in groups of 2 came in, so that to adjust that a little bit. So we've been sessions are still coming through though, so the boys have just been getting up in pairs, meeting at a time that works. Some boys do it in the morning, other guys at night still, 6 o'clock. So that's been the main one. We've still been getting the 3 sessions in terms of running a week, just keep some level of fitness. The gym's closing made it tough, obviously. Can't shift a lot of weight, which is tough. But again, J-Train's, he's had his outdoor setup, so had access to some barbells and dumbbells there, which is good. And outside of that, that's been our sort of formal stuff. I know for me personally, I've kind of gotten into a bit of swimming. Always grown up born on the beaches, but kind of just dip in the water, don't actually swim. So I've been heading to the ocean pool, doing some laps, bought some goggles. There's been a couple of us who've gotten into that, which has been good.
How are you finding your weight, Connor? Are you keeping the weight on? Have you lost weight? How are you going with that?
Yeah, it's fine. It's different. Obviously, your training load's down, so managing the right amount of food you're eating. I find when you're at work, it's easier. Obviously, you can don't have to worry as much. But yeah, sitting around about 115 still, which is good. Kind of trying not to drop under or get too much, which is good. So yeah.
How about you, Maxie? Are you bulking at the moment? What are you up to?
Yeah, we're lucky we can train. So we're down 4 days a week, me and Sao and the rest of the Tars boys. So it's been really lucky, mate. We've been smashing into plenty of gym and skills, not sort of too much fitness at the moment, which has actually been quite nice. Just because we don't know when we're going to be returning to play, so they'll ramp up when we've got a date. But yeah, just putting on weight and keeping ticking over, which has been good. So yeah, hitting about 108, 109 at the moment.
Are you guys in like your own like little bubble with that, Maxie? You allowed? What's your go? Are you allowed to go?
Yeah, we are. So we're not really meant to be leaving the house, other than to sort of go shopping and you can go for a walk and that kind of thing. But they've basically just said to us, to the group, just to avoid going out unnecessarily. So you just got to be a bit smart with that sort of stuff. But it doesn't really affect us like it would otherwise, because of everyone else is in the same situation pretty much with lockdown. So that's what it's like being in a bubble for a season.
And how about you, Haz? How you going, mate? You're one of the great runners, mate. Are you enjoying a bit of road time? You're on mute there, Ross. So you're on mute there, mate.
Hello.
Hey.
You thought we would have figured these out by now. North Head's getting a good pounding. I've done that a few times. Ready for a new track this week, I think. We're going to try the pre-season one up at Seaforth. There's a good one, Bantry Bay down to the the lake and back down there, which we've done with J-Train before. Dogs getting walked a lot. Other than that, a little bit of swimming, but not heaps otherwise.
And how are you, Beach?
Man, I'm good. Just plugging away, trying to keep the office running as best it can with everyone working from home, and some of the crew come in to send orders and whatnot. So it's a bit of a juggle. Keep them busy. Go for a run every now and then with Laney. Try and keep the rig in order. Hey?
Who wins that?
Laney. Yeah.
And you got some news, mate. You wanted to just let the members know
that? Yeah, I mean, the Rats game pretty busted up my shoulder pretty bad. Ended up with a fracture in the head of my shoulder and like a half the labrum torn in my shoulder. So that'll probably end my season earlier than most. I mean, depending on what happens in the next few weeks. But yeah, I dare say the boots will be hung up at this immediate point in time. Maybe focus on the golf career, see if we can get that swinging once the shoulder can actually move in certain places.
I was going to ask you the how it was feeling. Like it's pretty sore, is it?
Yeah, it's still really sore. It's been what's that? It's 6 or 7 weeks since we played the Rats. So yeah, it's still, there's movements getting there. But yeah, still pretty sore. Had an injection in it last week, which has helped massively. Sort of like a cortisone, or it was a cortisone injection. And that's a week today since I got that. So that's feeling good. Yeah, sleeping's the worst. That's about it. Day to day is getting heaps better.
In terms of starting up again, just so everyone knows, like we were really keen to go. We had Jimmy Olmsson was coming back from his torn pec. Maxi was back. CO was likely back. Harry Haywood has finally come back from injury. So you're sort of starting to get. We sort of had 5 or so guys coming back in positions where we really needed it. We were pretty inexperienced at lock. Really inexperienced in our back 3 at times. And having Jimmy there, like the 2 weeks that Jimmy had trained, I don't know if you boys felt the same, but you could sort of see there was a bit more zip about. And having obviously Max there, just for the younger guys like Munna and Woody and Hunter, they just haven't played a whole heap of footy. So having Max there to sort of steady the ship was going to be good for us. The same with CO as well, just a bit more experience in and around the group. And I actually thought, you got to be a sadist to be a coach, but I actually thought that we were pretty bullish going into Woods. I thought we could actually do something out there. I thought we've needed pace in our backs, and having Parks and Haywood and Jimmy come back in just gives us a bit more zip around the group. And you look at it and you think, why did we put Emery on the wing? Well, he's 6'3" and he's the fastest bloke in the club. That's why. And we were stuffing, or just so everyone knows, we were stuffing around. Or not stuffing around. We were practicing box kicks and having the guys catch box kicks and run them back. And Emery was skinning all our wingers. And Huck said to me in round 3, he goes, I think this guy's an outside back. And we thought, well, we might as well have a look. So he didn't do too badly against Newcastle. He's actually pretty good. Scored a good try. Was safe under the high ball. Good defence. So yeah, we were sort of looking forward to having Jimmy back, because the 3 games he's played in the last 2 years, we've been really good. So the trial early on, our backline that day was Spice, Jimmy, Harley was at 12, Parks was at 13. We had Committee on a wing and Justin and Ollie at fullback. Jim just gives us a bit more pace. No disrespect, Beach, but gives us a bit more pace around 10. And he just gives us a bit of zip, and he's our captain. So it was just nice to sort of see him back training. So we were really keen to get going, and I thought that obviously Lolakai got into the Wallabies, but I was assuming that we'd sort of see him at some point. hasn't played any football. So all of a sudden, you with Parks, you with Hayward, you Jimmy, you're starting to look at obviously with Maxi and Langy Gleeson was only a week or two away from playing as well. So, we were starting to get a bit of cattle back in positions we needed. We needed it and a bit more pace and a bit more penetration. So we were really hoping to get back and going, but it hasn't happened. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Homeschooling kids at the moment. So. And Maxi, so how about you, buddy? You first year with the Tars. What was that like, mate? How did you find the season and etc.?
Yeah, I mean, aside from probably getting my head taken off a few times, it was good, mate. It was, I guess it's a different situation to anything I've ever been in, as far as sort of results went, which made it a bit frustrating, but sort of getting thrown in the deep end a bit, running a line out at that level and that kind of thing. I took heaps away from it, which was good. So there was plenty of positives, I guess. Definitely toughens you up, kind of running at those sort of blokes and having to hit them back, which has been really good. But yeah, it was good. I had a ball. I would have hoped to have at least one win, but it is what it is. It's looking good though now with new coach coming in, and there's a fair bit of cattle coming back, which will bolster the sort of our type 5 a bit more, and other areas, which is exciting. So yeah, it's a good time to be at the Waratahs, I guess.
Have you been in touch with Darren Coleman, mate? Have you?
No, well, we not much. So we had a Zoom call with him last week, I think it was. He basically just gave us a quick wrap on what's going on. So he's playing his team, the Guiltinis, are playing in the MLR final tomorrow, I think, or in the next day or two. So he's got that, and then he'll go for a trip away with them, I think, and then he'll fly straight home just about after that. He hasn't seen his family in 6 months, so he'll go take his family somewhere if he can, lockdown sort of permitting. But and then it's sort of September 1. It'll be all hands on deck. So he wants to get to know a lot of the group face to face. He sounds good like that. He's going to be good for the group as far as culture goes, as well as sort of the rugby side of things. So yeah, it's looking good. We'll get to know him pretty well, pretty quickly by the sounds. And yeah, as far as we've heard from him so far, he sounds pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, he'll do a good job. Good bloke, good rugby guy. What have you found the biggest difference between the Australian Super Rugby and the Kiwi one, mate? What's the main?
Mate, it was not a lot. I think everyone talks about, obviously, results paint one picture, but I got injured in the Blues game. Played the Hurricanes the week before. We managed to put 40 odd points on them and still lose. But I think the main thing you see between sort of Oz teams and those Kiwi sides is just accuracy. And that's not just sort of catch pass, it's everywhere. So the best example is probably contact. So you'll get hit, you'll get chopped to the legs, and then you get jammed up top, and then there's a bloke on the ball, and it's so systematic with them. So you know what you're running into every time. And then and that's how they're producing results there around the breakdown, around their contact areas. Whereas Australians, you get your head taken off one tackle, and your next carry you're getting chopped low, and then there's no one else there. So I think that's like there's a lot more systematic with the way they go about everything. So it's not just sort of catch pass, and their ball skills are heaps better than Aussies and all that sort of chat. It sort of expands across everything. But it's mainly those minor things, So when they add up together, that makes a bit of a difference. But all in all, I didn't think it was. I didn't think we're worlds apart, to be honest.
No, oh, that's good, mate. Connor, your first year as captain, mate. What are the biggest learnings for you this year in terms of leadership, the club, and I guess yourself?
Yeah. No, it was a huge honour first year there. It was something I've obviously been fairly personally driven prior to this year. in terms of like my own performance, looking at things. But I guess that first year as captain, you've got so much other stuff going on. Things mean a lot more. Obviously, this year losses meant a lot more. But yeah, I found the biggest thing was you sort of take things with you a lot throughout the week. Whereas, I don't know, a normal week, you might think about a tackle you missed or something. Then you review it and then you sort of move on. I feel there's a lot more at play throughout the week that you've got to get your own head around. But I was fortunate enough to have a great support group with yourself, Hux in there, as well as Cecil, BJ, Harry, Max when he's kicking around. And yeah, that sort of leadership around that group kind of didn't feel like it was lots on me. I know that decisions were being made like throughout the week, and on the game day, it was like I had a good support team around me. So I felt that was a great way to sort of have that as a first year.
Yep. We just had a question come through. If you don't get the season going this year, what does next year look like in terms of recruitment, what positions, etc.? The reality is, in recruitment never stops, believe it or not. Like I'm at the moment, we were on a text chain the other day. I watched Gungahlin play the Owls last Thursday night because there's an outside centre that's quite good down there, and there's a hooker that nearly came last year that's playing for Owls that we're having a look at. Look, there's a few things we need to get right before we get to bringing players in. Biggest issue for us this year is we just haven't had enough speed, and across the board we've lacked pace. Like to give an example, against the Rats, we carried the ball 120 times, and we only made 2 line breaks, and they were both Hunter Ward, right? If we did that if I had Max and Lolakai and Yule and Jimmy, and we carry the ball 120 times, you're probably making 2-3 line breaks. That's just the reality, because you're dealing with a different type of athlete, right? So essentially what we need to do is, and this is also looking internally. So there's 2 kids. So Nick Ben and Tommy Latu are coming up from the Colts. They're the centers from the Colts. Both of them are big athletic boys. Probably not quite week-to-week first graders at this stage, but there's certainly some potential there. So big focus for us is finding some pace. We're probably a lock short, in truth, and then it's working out what else, who's back, who's not back, and one of the issues we've had with recruitment. If you look at the team that played against Sydney Uni in 2019 in the final, 8 of that team were actually Kiwis and Poms, and they're not here. So they're not here anymore. So you've got to be careful with bringing too many in, because you're starting from scratch every time. So what we're trying to do is work out what's here now, work out what gaps we've got. And then, someone like Yule, for example, I assume with the Commonwealth Games next year, I don't know what he'll do, but I'd love him to stay, because obviously he's a guy that we want here. He's a better than good first grader. Like the boys will tell you, in February last year, he looked unbelievable for us. And then all of a sudden he's, Kiama, and then the following week he's in the Australian Sevens, and then the following week he's broken his ankle. It's like being told there's Christmas coming, and then you're told it's cancelled. Because I thought that he'd probably score 20 tries for us this year. But that's footy. That's the game we're in. So just to answer that question, we probably need a little help at lock. We probably need, depending what happens with Tao, our front rower. I believe he wants to come back, but he's just signed with Otago. We'll see what's happening there. And then a little bit of pace, probably a little bit of pace out wide. So the other thing is we had a question about the Mermaids. They went really well today. Maddie Ashby was awesome against Japan, really strong, great at the breakdown. They looked terrific, the girls this morning. So all the Mermaids looked really good. So and obviously the other one's Josh Turner. I'm not sure what Josh is doing next year, but again, Commonwealth Games, but travel in that 7 circuits, I think, going to be difficult. So I just don't know what that looks like. So, but obviously, if Josh is available, he's a good player to have in our group. So, he's a Marlins. So, Beej, we've got a BJ, hell of a career, mate. Well done. Favorite year you had with the club? That's a question.
Favorite year? I don't know. There's been a couple. 2015 is obviously massive. Like 2015 was awesome. Like so many stars just aligned to make it such a good year. Starting from, I mean, we had on the field of 15 players, we had like 12 local juniors. And it all come up through the ranks together, ranging from like those born in 1990 and 1991. They were sort of the bulk of the group. And then we had a crop of players either side of those two age groups that were just awesome, up to like people who were like 3, 4, 5 years older than us, like Ed Gower and Dylan Sig. They were floating around. And then down to the young ones. I think Hodgie was the youngest in that team. And that was the 1 year he had with Manly before he was signed to Super Rugby. 2015 is the highlight by a fair bit, but winning in 2014 the twos grand final was pretty decent as well.
2014 twos.
2014 twos.
That was epic. Yeah.
Yeah, but that team was so stacked.
Yeah, I think through wasn't there we had open selection. That's right. And
yeah, we
myself and Dan Alley and Siggy and I think Sean Treweek.
Yeah, Ryan Melrose, Sean Treweek was on the bench, or maybe he started at 12, and Jacob Woodhouse was on the bench. Richard Hooper and Chris Yarrington on the wings. Marley was floating around. Like, it was awesome. That team was stacked.
Haz, we've got a question for you, buddy. Well done on making the 50 years with your team. How special was that? And what are your plans going forward? There's a second part of this question. I love watching you play, mate. There you go.
Yeah, cheers. It was really special. The whole weekend or Friday lunch and leading up to it was very special. And I think I didn't really consider it until I was in that room and looking at the amount of people and just the footage of everyone and the other players in the team. It was a huge honor, and it's such a great tradition that we have as two clubs. And I think it's just going to go stronger and stronger each year and continue to be built up. It's unfortunate we didn't get game 2 this year, or we might. I don't know if we get any sort of game 2 with them, it'd be nice. But looking forward to it next time, of course.
Pretty sick to be named in a team with your old man.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Cool. That's so
cool.
good.
Yeah. It was a nice honor. So there you go. Moving forward, I'm still playing at this stage. Don't know if it's going to be like a full commitment to first grade as it has been or whatever, but I'm still not sure. Work's getting busy, but who knows? It's still early doors. We didn't really get a season this year, so it's a bit frustrating to see this year the way it went. And Goldie, I've got a question for you actually, which I don't know if it's been addressed, but with the games coming back, is it all grades or what's the makeup there? Do Colts get to play or is it just first grade?
I don't know, mate. I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a question here. What are your views on the shoot shield participation agreement? Will it change anything to the Marlins? The biggest issue we've had, thanks for that, John. The biggest issue we've had is not so much with our first and second grade. It's business as usual, but we had close to 100 players in February on our books, and fourth grade became a series of games where you'd play and they wouldn't be worth anything, and then you'd miss a month, and then you'd play again, and then you'd play 2 games in a row, and then you'd miss a month, and guys just drifted away. So we went from having sort of 80 odd at training to 65, sometimes, scraping together to get enough for a game. And that really hurt us. That really hurt our numbers. It really hurt our depth. It really hurt our club morale. The way the comp's structured now with Colts playing before second grade, with Colts playing before second grade, third and fourth grade are kicking off at 9 o'clock. It just makes it really difficult. So I guess it's a hard one because it's great to have the Colts there, but it's also everything comes at a cost. So anyway, the truth is it shouldn't change a whole heap for us. We'd hope that we can get regular week-to-week rugby and keep those guys there, because the fourth and third grade guys are actually the heartbeat of your club, especially like they're the guys that fill the hill. They're the guys that are drinking the grog. They're the guys that are, the social factor within your club. And once you remove that, it becomes a little bit soulless, to be frank. So, I don't know whether it'll change a whole heap for us, is to answer your question. Righto, Burge, this is a hard one for you, mate, and me probably. Was it tough starting the year in second grade, and how was it for you emotionally?
No, not at all. I relished it. I don't care at all. I think it's great. I don't want to play first grade because it means there's someone younger, better, faster, stronger who can take that spot. And I literally just want the club to do well. And if that's in another player, I 100% want him to play second grade. And if I'm in first grade, and if I'm in second grade, it's a challenge. And I think that's what a lot of young guys don't sort of see it as, is if there's someone starting ahead of you, then there's a reason for it. And get better. If you're not a sportsman, you're not relishing the opportunity to give it a crack, then what are you playing sport for?
A good answer, mate. I thought you were terrific that couple of weeks, mate, for what it's worth. You got 3 points in twos, I think. So, and then like 50 minutes in ones.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
You got slumped. You got smashed.
Yeah, what's second prize? Okay, so Anonymous, what does preseason 2022 look like should the season not get going? The truth is we would obviously start earlier. This year was a hard one because our twos actually went quite deep into October, and everyone was just so drained. But if we don't get going, I would think that weights would start in October. I was actually speaking to Cameron today about this. Weights would start in October. We would get a good eight-week block in. I know, BJ, you were talking about sevens. You might want to talk about that when I finish. But getting as much sevens in as we can, and then getting a full proper preseason in, like a pre-Christmas preseason, after Christmas preseason, because the reality is we need it. Fitness was a bit of an issue for us, to be frank. So we've got to get a little bit fitter. We need to improve our individual skills around offloading and line breaking and taking chances, because we actually created this year a lot of chances. We just weren't good enough to take them, and then getting a bit more cohesion around the group and how we want to play. So pre-season, I would think weights would begin in early October. We'd be looking into some ball work and running pre-Christmas, and then full pre-season after that. B, do you want to talk about the sevens, mate?
Sure. It's and again, it's still up in the air whether anything's even going ahead. There was a chat amongst just a group of mates that we're going to do a bit of a social side, going to like barrel sevens and mudgy sevens and whatnot. But the plan was kind of sort of, I think it's mid-November. There's like a spring club sevens where all the shoot shield teams play each other, and that was going to be like the sort of start to the sevens season sort of thing, and sort of use the almost set up or re-establish like the sevens program in the off season, and gear it all towards the tournaments that pop up in January and February, and finish with Kiama as the final sort of event of that calendar. But just use it as a development for, or at least a sort of avenue to keep Colts involved over summer, so they don't disappear, and that's their transition to grade life. They'll mingle with some of the grade guys that are hanging around, and then use it as a thing to keep like the juniors involved, have like the under 15s or 16s train against us for a week or two, and just little things like that. Who knows, maybe we end up with like another Josh Turner or a Yul or someone who really relishes in that. Like I can see someone like a Harry Hayward being an absolute gun. So
there's some
who comes out of that.
There's some terrific kids in that Colts first and second grade backline, mate. That for the guys who are on the members who are on, who maybe haven't watched our Colts, that there's some terrific fellas there. They're the backs, for example. We did our preseason testing last year in November. I couldn't believe how big they were. Like their frames, like Benji Gallagher's Rob's son, he'd be 6'1", 6'2", be maybe early 90s. Nick Ben's about that size. Tom Latu's that size.
Little
Baby
Duggo.
Hellu's. They're big boy. They're big, rangy backs, and they're hard to find. And we've got to obviously bring them through and take care of them, because there's some really special kids there. So hopefully we can get them some time in the sevens and we can get a look at them. So yeah. So anything else? If anyone got any questions they want to ask in the Q&A, fire away. And
I think there was one from a coach interstate, the Unicorns, about having a pre-season something there.
that would be terrific.
Awesome.
We'll bring COVID. We'll bring COVID with us. Our final question here is from Steve. What do the prospects look like from the Colts coming through, especially in the forwards? There's a 7, Zach Barnabas. He made his
good.
first grade debut off the bench against South. I made a bet with someone the other day. There'll be a game next year. He'll make 50 tackles. I kid you not. He's just a terrific footballer. He's not the biggest, but the guy runs himself to puke every week. He pukes every week because he pushes his body that hard. So, he comes up. There's a terrific hooker prop named Chris Bramley. There's a prop named Harry Herbert. There's a 7 named Charlie Bennett. There are some good kids coming through. And a guy like Dougal O'Reilly, who played tight end prop for us in second grade. Dougal went from a guy that we thought would probably play thirds to, I think he's going to be an outstanding first grader for us. He's lost weight. He's a beast of a kid. He's athletic. He's, the biggest thing from first to second grade is your athleticism. You've got to have a gear to be able to run, and we sort of lacked that a little bit this year. But he's a guy that I think can play 100 first grade games for us. He's a terrific footballer. He's a great kid. Wants to learn, and just a legend to have around the club. So
big fan of Dukes.
Great man. So if you look at over this year, this will be the last question. I'll answer this last question because it'll take a little bit of time. But if you look at this year, we haven't had, aside from the guys like Nick and Tommy and Dukes and Zach, we've only had two of our Colts last year come into first or second grade. So, we've lost a few players for various reasons. Like Mick Adams retires, Katoni retires. We need to start backfilling from our Colts because they stay. So Dally Bird's a terrific kid down there. Tommy Douglas is a terrific kid. There's some really, really good footballers coming. And their recruitment's well advanced for next year. So for us, it's backfilling into that first and second grade. If they're not first graders, if they're second graders and they're keen and they train hard and they're good kids, which they are, we need to continue to find that next group of BJs and Harrys and Cecils. We've got to work hard to find that next core of the sort of that 8 to 10 kids that every year are there. And this 10 years that have gone, we've been so well served by the local kids. And they come every year. They're good blokes. They train hard. They're great for culture. We've got to find that next group, and we're getting there. So they played some awesome footy this year, the Colts. So I actually thought they could give it a shake. They were really coming on, tough, good in the right areas, kick well, good set piece. So yeah, there's a lot to like. Okay, so that'll do us, I think, guys. So I just want to say thanks so much to everyone for your support. It really means a lot to us. At the end of the day, the club only runs on people like you guys. So we just want to say thanks very much. I'm happy to talk anytime everyone talks footy. I'm happy to chat. But we thank you very much, and we hope we can get up and play the last few games. But if we can't, we'd love to see you guys next year. So yeah. So thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, Goldie.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you. Cheers, boys.
Have a good Arvo.
Stop the recording. Yep.